I'm calling the meeting to order on August 14th at 6 o'clock, and Mr. Batista will do the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Batista.
Here.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Here.
Ms. Lambert.
Here.
Ms. Snyder. Mayor Davis.
Yeah, here.
Cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of July 1st through July 31st, 2023 were $431,817.20. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the month of July totaled $3,726,585.34. And the cash balance in the current fund account as of this period totaled $12,810,938.92. Cash receipts in the water utility account for this period of July 1st through July 31st, 2023 were $266,010. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of July totaled $36,541.71. And the cash balance in the water utility account as of July 31st was $5,220,281.27. And I do have a real quick beach badge revenue update. As of right now, the 2023 beach badge revenue is at $436,993. It's a slight decrease of last year at this point of about $16,857. Last year at this point, we were at $453,850.
And last year was a decrease from the year before, I think.
Yes, because
Yeah.
COVID was very inflated.
Right. Okay.
I have several meetings of minutes for approval without formal reading. The June 29th agenda meeting, July 10th regular meeting, July 27th agenda and executive session minutes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ordinance 2023-24C, an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Fire Company in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to establish a junior firefighters auxiliary program. First reading. And you do have the chief here if you'd like to hear some more.
Would you give us a little rundown of the program? I think that'd be nice.
Adam Ellender, 100 West 14th Street, Fire Chief Beach Haven. So thank you guys for considering the junior auxiliary program. We do appreciate it. There are a lot of fire companies on the mainland, even Barnegat Light, that have junior auxiliaries. I've noticed, that there's been a lot of, I don't want to say issue, but there's been a lot of young people in this town that seem like they need something to do. And if we can get them to join the fire company and volunteer, I think one hand washes another, it benefits us. But more importantly, there's a lot of things that we can teach them. There's a lot of ways that we can help them. There's a lot of benefits to joining the fire company besides volunteering your time. So I do appreciate this. I think that it's a step in the right direction for us as far as getting volunteers. We are blessed with having a very huge volunteer fire company, but the more the merrier. And I welcome any young people that want to join and dedicate their time with us. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Is this open? Is this going to be year round or just summer or?
So starting the program, we need to crawl before we can walk. We're going to do at least 5 to start with. We're going to try to open it up to within our own organization and then extend from there, because then we have a little bit more control over it. We know what we're getting into, and we can also make the corrections as we're going. The second half of it is there's a fiscal obligation. So I can't open it up to everybody because we do have to provide gear. We have to provide training and everything like that. All those things cost money. So before we can go ahead and, open it up and make it a huge project, we have to look at this. So as we go through this next year, as we establish a program, we can establish budgets and we can start to figure out how much it's actually going to cost us. And then we can expand from there. With this program, I have applied already for a grant for PPE for these juniors that potentially could be joining so that they will have protective gear as they do trainings and as they are able to go on calls. That being said, there are a bunch of rules with going on calls. They cannot go anywhere near fires. They're very limited in what they can do. Speak of the devil. So that all has to be considered as well. We do have a set of rules and regulations. The state of New Jersey does also have a set of rules and regulations, and that has been established within our organization. So, yeah,
What are the ages for this?
16 to 18.
I think this is a wonderful initiative. I think it's great. I think it'd be great to educate a lot of people, even if they don't become firemen. So thank you very much, Adam. Does anybody on council?
I have
Sure.
a comment question. I think it's a good idea. I'm in full support of it. I do think that you, as you said, open it up to your, I guess, son's daughters first, and I understand that, but I'm looking forward to you opening it up to Beach Haven youth.
Yeah, that is the plan. The plan is to open it up to everyone. But we have to see exactly what we're working with before we can get to that point.
And
And
not just the kids that are nervous anyway, you know.
100%. There's a lot of people, we have a lot of young people that are willing to join, especially, summertime. We've been entertaining the idea of maybe doing like a fire camp or something like that, similar to what Waretown does, where you have, again, young people that may be juniors elsewhere. They can come here in the summertime and maybe do some training, do stuff with us, maybe not that full active role, but there is a way that we can incorporate them into what we're doing to, help them. Right now it's 18. It's 18 to go through the Ocean County Fire Academy to get your firefighter 1 certification. So you can join the fire, if you have a junior auxiliary, you can join before you're 18. And myself and a couple other people are fire instructors. So there is a decent amount of training that we can do in-house before they get to that firefighter 1 level. But we can train them based on the principles that are, in the Fire 1 program and get them ready to go. So that as they go through the training, they know everything, they're ready to go and they can excel.
And-
Great teacher.
Anybody else from council have any?
I just want to say that we had actually discussed this a couple of years ago. And I think it's an awesome idea. I mean, right now, as you said, we're blessed, but as that demographic ages out, we've already seen first aid. We know having a hard time getting police officers. I think it's a wonderful training program,
Yeah.
and hopefully like the lifeguard and training program, a lot of them will stay here and join us. So thank you for doing this.
Yep, that's the plan.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Great. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
yes,
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-25C, an ordinance amending chapter 138, parking lots municipal of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to establish time limit parking at the Center Street municipal lots during daytime hours in season. And the actual language states, parking of a vehicle or trailer for more than 3 hours is prohibited between the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Memorial Day to Labor Day.
And this includes both lots that are across the street from
Yes.
each other.
Yes,
Are there
block
any-
149 and block 150.
Right. Any questions from council regarding this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Is
motion to approve.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes,
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-26C, an ordinance amending chapter 167, site plan review of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to require applicants to apply for Architectural Advisory Committee review prior to site plan review in some instances, first reading. And before you discuss, I just wanted to mention, there was also some discussion about changing the expiration of approvals for preliminary and final plans. It would change the same chapter. So I'm wondering if you want to hold off on this to make sure that we incorporate this change all at once.
I would like to hold off on it. Also, I would like to see the finalized guidelines before we pass this. I'd like to see the finalized guidelines. And I think I stated that last time. So if everybody agrees, can we hold off on this?
Well, I'd like to ask, I mean, Jamie, you might know more than anyone, how.
Use your
how off
microphone.
are we? How close are we to finalizing?
That one even working?
Yeah, it's not.
Here,
How far off are we on finalizing those guidelines? I don't want to wait too long on this.
No, all of the editing is finished and the verbiage is finished. I'm just
Thank
putting
you,
in
Sherry.
the pictures. So, I mean, within the month, I'll have it.
Okay, so by
I'll
this
have it
time next
done.
month.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, I'm fine with
Yeah, the
that.
problem is the software is only for PCs. It's not an Apple.
oh,
Yeah, so it's kind of
That's
tedious.
hard.
I come in and I have to,
I have an extra PC if you'd like to.
oh,
borrow.
you do?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna take
I'll
you up
lend
on
it to
that.
you.
Thank you.
Phone.
Yeah. No, Stockton
Yeah,
gives
so-
me a PC, I never use it.
Yeah, I'm at the final stages, putting in the pictures and stuff.
Okay, so it's postponed, all right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Sherry.
You can, oh, did you get it fixed? Yep, good. Good to go.
Microsoft Publisher on there.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 171, returning piling bonds. Resolution 172, authorizing execution of agreements between the Borough of Beach Haven and the Southern Ocean County Chamber of Commerce and the Hunger Foundation of Southern Ocean County for the use of Taylor Avenue parking lot for the 2023 Chowder Fest. 173 is establishing an ad hoc Parks and Recreation Committee for 2023. 174 is approving fireworks displays. 175, approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company and to the New Jersey State Firemen's Association. 176 is the insertion of special item of revenue or chapter 159. 177, appointing a temporary sewer utility advisory board and authorizing compensation for each member. And 178, authorizing an executive session to discuss contract negotiations redevelopment.
Is there anybody in council that would like to remove any of these for further discussion?
I'd like to remove 174.
Okay?
I'd like to remove
Anybody else?
177 only to clarify what's going on with
Okay.
177.
Okay.
And I just have a question about 173. I know, should we remove it or just ask the question?
You can ask.
Okay, it came up that they wanted to know specifically what the council felt the Parks and Recs Committee's, role was. And I said, I thought it was as an advisory capacity, once all the information is in and everything has been examined. Is that the case?
That's the only thing it can be.
Well,
Right.
Well, I know, but they thought that it,
There's no pull in any
well, I
committee.
think there was, they're going to all these lengths and things like that. I got the impression that they wanted to make sure that they were being heard. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when you're on any committee, you want to know that if you're putting in this time that you're maybe the consensus and not everyone's going to agree, but the general consensus or the feelings of the committee are going to be
I mean, I told them
listened
that.
to, not necessarily as gospel, but just heard, I think.
Well, they asked us, they said, would you
Yeah.
please ask the council?
Right.
So I'm asking, so we're all in
Yeah,
agreement, it's
yes.
advisory.
And I did talk to Sherry,
Okay.
yeah. And I did ask Sherry as well it says for 2023, but we're going to revisit it at the end of December
Mhm.
for next year to see. That's, yeah.
Okay, we're removing two of the items? for
Yes.
Further discussion?
So would you like to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 174 and 177?
Yes.
Do you have a motion for that?
Oh, so moved.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Jamie, 174, this is fireworks.
Right, so I just have a concern about the fireworks on September 2nd, which is Labor Day weekend, and it is a Saturday. Have you read the letter from Chief? Chief,
Yeah.
can you come up and give us a little background on last year's Labor Day fireworks? And in the letter that Chief sent us, there was some concerns for safety and especially because of the shortness of staff going into Labor Day weekend.
Sure. Last year, well, when for 4th of July fireworks, we always have the roads closed and have the parking lot contained so that there's pedestrian safety. In the past, we haven't done that with any of the other fireworks displays, but why is this echoing? Last year's was extremely busy and the Labor Day. It was extremely busy, which the night guys who were working it kind of felt it became a little bit dangerous for pedestrians. The only way around that would be as if we had officers come in for overtime, but that would kind of affect my budget. And I don't think it's really fair for the town to, have to pay all that overtime. So I think it'd be a better idea. And the summer officers that I do have, a lot of them are leaving before Labor Day because they start college. So I'm a little low on the, employees, so.
Yeah, so the problem with the Labor Day is, like Chief said, all of the other fireworks celebrations, the parking lot is not closed. So they close the parking lot down on July 4th and it's a little bit more safer, it's a little bit more controlled, but on the other firework displays, the parking lot is not closed. So you still have cars in there and pedestrians, and last year it turned into quite an ordeal. And Labor Day, it's just the time, we all know staff is very short and
If it was the following weekend, it wouldn't be a concern because we don't have as many vehicles, we don't have as many pedestrians.
Was this display, was that for Saturday night or Sunday night?
It was a Saturday night one, I believe.
Okay.
And this year is as well?
Was it Saturday night last year? So, what's that?
And this year's Saturday as well?
This year it's scheduled for Saturday also, and I don't know that it would make a difference if it was Saturday or Sunday, because that weekend,
If it was Monday, it might.
well, that would be fine. I don't have a problem with that. Half the people leave by then, but Saturday and Sunday on the holiday weekends are usually both same as a Saturday, busy.
Where are they discharged, Chief?
Are they doing it off the barge? Yeah, right, same as they do as for 4th of July, it's right,
Who's sponsoring?
Fantasy Island. And he is here if you. For
Would you be
details.
willing to do it the following Saturday?
well, we have them.
Or-
Well, then it's like back to back.
And look at you.
Yeah, so then it would be 3 total.
Well,
Me to swear in?
You're okay.
Okay. So look, the Labor Day weekend, the whole point of doing it that weekend is to bring the traffic to Beach Haven, right? All the businesses benefit from the additional traffic. The amusement park's gonna be busy whether we do it or not. To me, it's a community contribution, just like we saved July 4th, right? Like there wouldn't have been July 4th fireworks if it wasn't for Fantasy Island. We don't benefit from that. I'm of the opinion, and just take it for what it's worth, that I do think the town should pick up the additional expense. I think for safety, we should close the parking lot and we should have it. It's a great community event that all the businesses benefit from and helps them get through the winter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment too. I was talking with some of the merchants that, businesses in Bay Village and Schooners Wharf, and their businesses, their profits are down, and they're somewhat, some of them are struggling. And I think anything we can do to help them make more money and stay in business, I think we should. So it's a quandary. I don't know the difficulties if we can work it out for that weekend. or
How
not.
much money are we talking, Chief?
I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you the number of what we spent for 4th of July. That's already in our budget. from from the last 30 years of doing it, but I'd have to sit down with finance and have them go over to give me an exact number, but and see how many people I have available.
That's
The biggest problem is the availability. A lot of my summer officers leave that weekend to go back to school. So they're not even here for a big weekend, and it's busy. And, we've had a lot of issues with the kids down there. 4th of July was bad with the juveniles. They all come down there, and then the people who want to go down and watch the fireworks on the bayfront get pushed out of the park. So we had sheriff's officers and everybody else down there this year for 4th of July. It's just, it's a mess I'd rather not do, but that's completely up to you.
Is there a way we could postpone this decision to the next meeting and you could get the,
Well, I think,
you know,
I
get the
think
figures.
probably, can I interrupt? Do you mind if I
sure,
interrupt?
you can interrupt.
I mean, I think we should make a decision tonight. That's my opinion. I think Mr. Rainwhite probably needs to know. And I mean, I hear you and I understand, but I think I would support this. I think it's important for the businesses, and I'm fine with, I think, paying overtime to our police force for something that will bring more business in. I'd be okay with that. I know it can be dangerous, and it certainly can be anytime. Why can't we close that parking lot?
It just requires manpower.
Yeah.
It's just because of the
I
manpower?
can close the parking lot anytime. It's just, it requires multiple people around, on the streets that surround the parking lot. And then officers down in the park where
Yeah.
everybody's hanging out.
I'd like to see if we can do it. I think it's nice for the town. I know there's controversy about fireworks, but I think I'm fine with it. I would support it.
Anybody else on council want to speak to this?
I don't think it's a matter, I think we all support it and want to do well for the businesses. I just don't know if we have the manpower to do it.
Make it work if that's, I mean, it's not gonna flow as easy as 4th of July does. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult, and hopefully it's not like it was last year.
Right.
So,
there's 2 other events after Labor
Yes.
Day.
yeah, but
They don't close the park.
we don't close that whole parking lot for traffic and everything like that, other than for Chowder Fest we do, but it's
Is your concern all 3 of them or just Labor Day?
no, my concern is the time of year that it's happening. It's still in summer. There's still a lot of people down here, a lot of juveniles,
Right.
the crowds,
So you're not-
trying to get them safely across the boulevard.
The 22nd and the 7th, you're okay with.
Oh, I'm fine with any of the other ones. I don't,
It's just Labor Day.
and like I said, I understand. I like fireworks too. I mean, it's people enjoy it. It's
What was the attendance last year? I don't know.
I don't know the numbers. We didn't have
Was
many
it-
officers there.
was it-
It was,
Okay.
the officers that were there were the ones that were on the road that night. And they went down because we had an influx.
Right, any other questions from council?
Just real fast, Chief. I mean, is there any way to get help by paying like maybe other police forces on the island to send?
I mean, I can always ask surrounding towns if they have additional officers, but I don't know that they'd want to bring people in on overtime for that. And I don't know that we'd want to pay that
Okay, that's all.
or have the money to pay it, but something we can talk with finance.
Adam, what's your feeling on this?
So the issue that we have is, I'd be happy to help Chief out. But we're standing by in case we have any shells that land on property and catch fire, we have to stand by. It's law that any fireworks display, excuse me, that you have a fire protection there in case, the wind blows the wrong way and a shell lands on top. I mean, we've had in the past, debris that's come down and could have caused a problem. Thank God never did. So we have to be on location for fire protection purposes. Going outside using the fire department or police department, you would have to get anybody trained up on traffic incident management because it is a county road. And also, if we had more fire police, we only have 2 fire police members right now in the fire department. But if we had more fire police members that we'd be able to utilize them more for traffic control. So I personally just don't have the resources right now to do it. We're going to be standing by for fire protection. I've given whatever available trucks I have and manpower, but also know 4th of July and last year's Labor Day, that it is very hectic. I mean, we need a lot of bodies down there. So.
Was the fire company down there for last Labor Day?
Yeah.
What was your impression of the whole event?
Same. It's the same. It's the same as 4th of July. You need as many people.
So to do it effectively, we need more people.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Safely and all those things
Yeah.
considered.
Yeah. I'm in favor of whatever we have to do to get more people.
I think we have to look at safety here, both crowd control and, as the chief was saying, I'm not against this, but this is brand new to me tonight. And if we could just postpone this this one event, if you want to go forward with the other two, and spend the next couple of weeks seeing if we can't organize the necessary manpower that we need to do this safely. But I think to pass it tonight, knowing that we're hearing from two of our safety officers that there could be an issue from a safety perspective, I think we should hold off on this.
I agree with you, Mike, and we have a meeting at the end. Well,
Last
our
thing
next
I'd hate,
meeting-
I don't want to interrupt you. Last
Yeah.
thing I'd hate to see is an issue that someone got hurt or it got out of control somehow. If we don't have the necessary people in place to do it safely and effectively, we shouldn't do it. But I like the idea of doing it. We should figure out how in the next couple of weeks we can get the manpower and what it's going to cost. I don't like flinging off the cuff. Well, let's let the borough pay for it. Maybe the borough will pay for it, but let's find out how much it's going to cost first.
I agree.
Yeah.
So can we make a motion to pass the two later ones with the stipulation, and we'll look into it in the next couple of weeks and see if we can afford to do this?
Yes, so do I have a motion to approve Resolution 174, approving a fireworks display for September 22nd and October 7th only?
Yes, but that doesn't mean that we won't look into the possibility of having it on Labor Day.
Okay, so I'll write another resolution that we can consider at the next meeting with more
Okay.
information.
Okay.
So I have a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
yes.
And then Michael, you wanted to discuss 177.
So 177 is a follow-up of the merger of the Beach Haven Sewer Authority into the newly formed Borough Beach Haven Sewer Utility. The Sewer Authority was run for a very long time by a group of residents, and their job was to oversee the operation of the Sewer Authority. Part of the discussion process when we started to think about forming a utility, a sewer utility, we wanted to make sure that everyone, that there was no one left out, and particularly the 4 or 5 members that were managing this sewer authority for all these years. So what this resolution is doing is keeping that group together to oversee our sewer utility and advise council on the operation of the newly formed sewer utility. They will meet once a month, and they will be approving their bills, the bills for the sewer utility, and overseeing the cash on deposits and things of that nature, and generally watching over the field, reviewing the capital projects that are going to come up in the next 12 months. And I'm very excited that they've all decided to continue assisting the borough with this initiative. And I'm very happy with everything that's going on so far with this merger. And I think it's going to be a tremendous asset benefit to the borough of Beach Haven and everybody that's paying the sewer bill. So I'm in favor of this. I'd make a motion, we approve it. I just wanted to let everybody know what was going on with this.
Second,
Batista,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes,
I have a bill list this evening. The general bill list is $987,747.14.
are we approving these separately, I guess? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the regular bills?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? And you know what? I'm sorry. I got to roll call that.
Yeah.
Mr. Batista,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes,
And then the sewer utility bills for this meeting is $19,398.51. And I did hear back from the chair of the advisory committee, Whitney Marshall, that they are accepting of this original bill list. And they will, we're recommending that they meet the second Monday of every month so that their approval will precede yours.
that's great. Okay, is there
Do
a
I have
motion?
motion?
I make a motion, we approve the sewer utility bills.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Second?
Second.
Mr. Batista,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
That's
All
all I
right.
have.
So now we are opening the floor to public comments, and that means anybody on Zoom or in the room can come forward and speak for a minute, a maximum of 3 minutes. State your name and address and come to the microphone. Do we have any takers? Speak about anything. And
Good evening, everybody. It's Corinne O'Connell, 331 Maryville Avenue. A couple of follow-up just questions around the ad hoc Parks and Rec Committee. Is there equitable distribution across the 3 parks of neighbors who live adjacent to the parks? Like, what's the representation in the Parks Committee right now?
well, this isn't really a give and take, but after the meeting, you can
I'd be
meet
happy
with
to talk to
Kitty
you
and
about
she
it if you
can
wanna
talk
give
to
me
you
a call.
about it.
Great. I'll give
Okay.
you my number. Great. And then the other that I just want to plant as a seed, I think something council needs to look at is the pickleball tournament. So last weekend was a real challenge on the block, just in the volume of cars and people and parking and smoking at the park, and that just, it's big. And so I hear all of the attention given, right? Like, we can't compare the 4th of July fireworks. That's apples and oranges. But, do we have the safety infrastructure in place for the pickleball tournament? But as well as just what accommodations need to be made so that residents, right, of just the parking on the street and access to the park, there were tents. I don't know if any of you went by and saw the pickleball tournament. But I'm just, it's 1 weekend a year, we get it. And at the same time, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I plant that there in a space of something that I'd be curious, to be paying attention to. That's all.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? Is there anybody on Zoom who wants to speak? No? Anybody?
Kathleen O'Connell from 331 Maryville. I have 2 questions, really just off the wall for
Could you
residents.
speak more into the microphone? I'm having trouble hearing.
Sure. So can somebody explain to me the parameters of the fire alarm?
Of the what?
Fire alarm, the siren. What are we were under the impression it was not to go in the middle of the night. I mean, I understand that you're calling people to service, but we haven't had down where we are, we haven't had the alarm since Sandy. There's been no alarm. So it was a little startling when we came back. And yesterday it probably went 6 times. So I understand that. So that's one question I have. Second question I have is, we're at the very end of the borough, and all of a sudden we now have, I'm going to call it a hippie bus that's been parked there all summer. Nobody's sleeping in it. this past weekend, we had 2 camper vans where kids were in that. So it's the very last street. It's on Nelson Avenue. The police responded politely and explained that their understanding is that the bus belonged to someone who could not park it on their street. They could not sleep in it. But it's been there all summer. And now this two sleeper vans. And I walk early in the morning. There were definitely kids in there. Did call the police and they did respond. So I think that's something you should know about. Again, very end of the borough, very last street. Anyway, the fire alarm is rattling. So I don't know what the answer is to that. And I'll make one other comment about the pickleball tournament. So it's 6:15 a.m. that started. It was not over till way after 7 o'clock. So next to us, we have a nice family who have to rent their house. There's no way their tenants could park to get into the house. Now, that doesn't seem equitable to me.
Well, this isn't really a time that we answer questions, but we will take the pickleball issues and talk to the people that organize the tournament. That will be done. As far as the camper, I know I contacted the police when I heard about it, and they did. They did ask the people to move. I think we need to know sooner. So the sooner you see that again, you need to contact the police. And the alarm, I've answered a lot of emails about the alarm and forwarded them to our fire chief. And he gave me some very good evidence. And even though I'd like to ask Adam to come forward and just say some of the things you wrote to me in the email, so people can hear it and it will go in the minutes, because I think it was very helpful. So if our fire chief would come forward, he could explain a little of that.
So I'm coming back to the bus. They did move from one side of the street to the
Right.
other. So
Right.
that was moving. So it was first parked on the north side.
Well, it's not supposed to be down there at all. So, okay. But we'll talk about that later.
If it's
okay?
properly registered and they're not sleeping in it, it's permitted. But the
It's a
police can
legal
come
parking
down,
spot. That's what the police said.
then it's permitted. But if they're sleeping in it, then you should call.
But now we went from 1 to 3.
If it's legally registered, it's properly parked and they're not sleeping in it, it's permitted. But if you think they're sleeping in it, then call and have them check.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. I knew the fire sirens were gonna come up. That's okay. Well prepared for that. So yes, you guys heard the siren that just went off while we had this meeting. That was an appliance fire, it was a grill fire that we had.
Adam, speak in the microphone.
Yep, sorry about
You
that.
can move it up.
We had a grill fire during this meeting. We had 9 or 10 people that responded to it. 2 trucks ran out. All good. That's what the siren's for though, and that's what everyone needs to understand is the siren is an emergency. It's not, maybe not be your emergency, but it's somebody's emergency. That's someone's kid that's in the ocean potentially drowning. That's someone's house that's on fire. That's a gas leak. That's carbon monoxide. That's all those things. We respond to emergencies. It's not going off because I like to hear the sound of it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't think anybody else does, but it's because there's an emergency. That's why it's going off. It went off about 10 times yesterday. We responded to 10 calls yesterday. We had a structure fire. We had grill fire. We had gas leaks, carbon monoxide, water rescue. We had hazardous conditions and we had false alarms. But the majority of them were real emergencies. There's a misconception that that should only be for if your house is actually burning. There's a lot of other types of emergencies. One thing that and I've conveyed it to members of the council, is that we're having an issue right now with carbon monoxide alarms, which is actually golf carts that are off gassing because they're charging in people's garages. They have them in a confined space and they're giving off gases, and you have occupants inside, you have children inside. And we're getting, the last call, we had 2,000 parts per million of gas inside a garage because a golf cart is charging in there. We had to get the occupants out, ventilate the house, educate them. And I'm going to have, this is going to be public outreach where I educate a lot of people with lithium ion scooters, bikes, all these things. Talk to the golf cart companies about, just make sure that people understand that they need to charge these things in a well ventilated area. I'll read the email that one of the residents, asked about the siren. I'll read an email that I sent to everyone. And this covers all the bases that I've said ad nauseum to everybody, but the issue that we're having right now is, and the parameters that you're asking about is the siren's supposed to be off from 10 PM to 7 AM. That's the policy that we established and we agreed upon back in March. And then I reestablished it with the dispatchers because it wasn't being followed in June. The issue that we're having is that it's operator malfunction at this point. It's an agency that I have no control over. The only thing I can do is complain about it. It is something that is new here for Beach Haven because we've never done this before. We've always had a siren. As a matter of fact, that siren on Nelson Ave only failed in 2018. Up until then, we were spending our money to work on it. And then when it had catastrophic failure and had to be replaced, it was about $15,000 back then to replace it. And the fire company just couldn't afford it on the heels of us getting a brand new $1.3 million ladder truck, the county changing the radio frequency that we operate on, and we had to spend over $150,000 for all new radios for every piece of apparatus that we have. It just wasn't in the stars for us to pay for this. And that's when the talks began. And that was before I became chief. So this year, the stars aligned, we're moving up on a paging frequency, we're moving up on the radio frequency. We can now replace not one, but all three of them because these are all going to fail at some point and we have to move up on a new paging system anyway. So in order for us to not have a lapse in fire protection, they were all replaced. They were replaced with these electronic sirens. I liked the way the old sirens sound. I'm not a huge fan of the way it sounds now, but it's not about that. It's about public safety. It's about alerting volunteers when an emergency is happening. And we are different than most mainland companies. We have first responders that are on the beach during the daytime hours that aren't carrying cell phones and pagers, like most other people that are attending the beach. It's very different, paradigm what we have here. So we need to be able to alert first responders. That's part one, but let's dive a little deeper. NFPA requires that you have two means of notification. Primary would be the pager, secondary would be the siren. The siren failing on Nelson Ave provided, now we only had one means of notification for half the town. The other half of it is you also need it for OEM. We're a storm ready community, which means that you have a reduced flood insurance rate because we can notify you within 24 hours of an approaching storm like Sandy. So we can evacuate people and get them safe. I'm sure most people have seen in the media and everything what's happened in Maui with the fires and everything. Having that public notification system, being able to evacuate people is paramount. It is necessary. It's a necessary evil. I'm sorry that there are people that it offends, but for an emergency purpose, to get people out of here, that is the best way. Not everyone's going to have their cell phones. Not everyone's registered with Nixle, but they will hear that and they will move if they need to. I promise you. It is all about public safety. So with having that down, we were down to one means of notification. And then with the county making us move up on a new paging system, we would have had a lapse of fire protection, which is not something that I can live with. I can't live with the thought of a loss of life, whether it be this community's or one of my members or property. I mean, this is the job that we do. We're here to protect property, protect life, and incident stabilization. We are here to help as much as possible. We're not abusing the siren in any way. I don't think anybody thinks that. And as far as I know, in the history of the Beach Haven Fire Company, the oldest in Ocean County, there's never been one complaint from a person whose house was on fire that siren went off. It's never been a complaint. So that being said, this is the place that we're at. This is the first year that we're doing it. I am gathering as much data as I can about this so that we can make better decisions. I could tell you that back in July, we had 71 alarms. Of those 71 alarms, see here. 7 were fires, 9 were rescues, 7 were hazardous conditions, 9 were good intent, and 39 false alarms. Majority of our calls are false alarms. And with public education and outreach, hopefully we can change that, get people to change their batteries and stuff, do those little things that will keep the siren off inevitably, so that will make it quieter in town. But of those calls, we only had 16 calls at night. And of those 16 calls at night, yes, the dispatchers were hitting out a lot. And I've been apologizing for that. And there's been a huge outreach on Facebook, a huge support from the people in this community on how well the fire company is doing, how blessed we are to have as many members that we do, and the job that we're doing. There are a lot of people that are okay with having sirens. So far in August, we've had 31 calls to date. We had 10 of them yesterday. Big day. 4 were fires, 4 were hazardous conditions, 1 good intent call, 1 rescue, and 21 alarms. So again, majority false alarms. But in August, we've only had 10 calls at night. And of those 10 calls, as you're well aware, because you've gotten the same emails I have, we've only had 5 times that it's gone off, which is 50%. So we've gone from a 25% reduction to 50 so far this month, and hopefully things go the way that they're going. And it is quieter. See, the problem is that a lot of people, they hear the siren go off, and that's when we're getting these emails, but they don't know that we're still having calls when the siren isn't going off.
Right.
So all those nights that it's not going off, nobody knows about it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to continue to do what we can. I'm going to keep prodding the dispatchers in the direction that we all want to see this go into. Hopefully it'll stay a little bit quieter at night. It has been. Hopefully it gets quieter. Hopefully this becomes, 100%. And that's the report that you're getting from the fire company. But at this time, that's where we stand. We need it for safety.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
very
Chief.
All right.
Yep,
Any other
we
questions?
appreciate that.
I just want to thank you also, Chief. And the public has to know that Adam is not paid all this time.
That's correct.
Exactly.
All this time and all this work that he's been doing, and he has been an outstanding chief for our fire department, is all volunteer, 100% volunteer. And the one little issue that you didn't touch on, Adam, is that every fire call, the whistle went off. Previously to the council working out the deal where the fire call, the whistle at night wouldn't ring unless it was a structural fire. So the frequency that fire whistle is going off is way down from where it used to be 2, 3, 4 years ago. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. for
Yeah.
everything.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Thank
got it.
Thank
very
you so
much.
much, Adam.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Brian Boker, 5404 South Long Beach Boulevard, Holgate. Thank you, Chief. My son just became a fireman in Beach Haven. We're pretty proud of that. But I'm here to represent no one, but just to discuss the Superior Court case against the Borough of Beach Haven versus the Holiday Snack Bar. And it's my understanding that there's only one complainant in the entire history of the Holiday Snack Bar who's ever complained. And that one complainant had filed a statement to Superior Court. And these statements are sworn testimonies, and there's not supposed to be any perjury or anything on them. But there's some statements here that I think should be noted. And the first one is, I hereby certify as follows. I am a resident of the Borough of Beach Haven and have been residing in the Borough of Beach Haven for 45 years. I am the owner of residential property, and I reside there with my wife and children. The one complaining neighbor has never been a resident of Beach Haven. He's been a summer vacationer for 45 years. And he bought a house next to the Holiday Snack Bar, but he's never been a resident. And in Superior Court, that means a lot because it means you're tolerating something for like 12 months. The next statement I'd just like to talk about is when he purchased the Holiday Snack Bar in 2014, he says there were no outside seating. That's also not true. The Holiday Snack Bar was approved for outside seating in 2013, which we've all seen the documents on that through the Land Use Board. That would make it look like he was a resident now that didn't have outside seating when he bought his place, which would even be a much stronger argument. But the truth of the matter is the Holiday Snack Bar had seating before he moved in. Number 7 was, it was his understanding that in 2016, Mr. Warfield applied for outdoor seating at the Holiday Snack Bar. Why would he make a statement like that? Because if he was a resident and he lived there and the seating came after he resided there, then it's something he didn't agree to when he moved into the property next door. But this is also a false statement. 16, further, customers seated outdoors at the holiday snack bar smoke cigarettes and other paraphernalia that interfere with our ability to remain outside on our own property. I have no one that would witness this and has ever seen people smoking outside cigarettes, let alone other paraphernalia that would alter anybody's lifestyle at all. Holiday snack bar is a smoke-free environment. 22 bothers me because it says when he's tried to address
That's 3
this
minutes,
with
Brian.
the holiday, okay. One thing, the last thing I'd like to say is the current conduct and current operations are severely impacting the quality of life in the borough. We've not did nothing but improve everyone's quality of life in the entire neighborhood, and they've all come to speak on our behalf, except for that one neighborhood. And this is what we're going to Superior Court with, this sworn statement.
Thank you,
for your
Brian.
time.
Thank you, Brian.
Anybody else before I close the floor? Nobody on Zoom?
No.
Okay, so I'm closing the floor to public comment. And so we're going into executive
Yes, at this
session.
time, we're going to move into,
Excuse me, before we do that, can we
Yeah.
just review
Yeah.
the crossing plan? Because we may lose some of the public.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Do you
that'd
have
be
that
nice
to
with the
put up
public
on
there,
the
that's
screen?
fine. I see
Okay.
no problem with it. Mhm.
So a while back, well, everybody knows that we're moving forward to get the pedestrian crossing signals and new traffic lights everywhere where there is a traffic light. We're dealing with the county. It's a little bureaucratic. It's going a lot slower than I want it to go, but I'm going to keep pushing it. But in the meantime, a resident of town came up several months ago and said, do you realize that there are many crosswalks that don't have the white hatching painted on them in town here, particularly on the north side of Pearl Street, right there at the Pearl Street Market. So I asked Frank Little, our engineer, to go through town, and he came up with an as-built of all of the crosswalks in town. And he marked on here where we can make immediate improvements. This legend that he's prepared was submitted to the county, and I expect very shortly we're going to get a lot more crosswalks. I was shocked to see that everything south of what street is the yacht club on? Berkeley?
Berkeley.
Everything south of Berkeley, there are no
There are none.
crosswalks,
No,
not
I
a single
know.
one. People are walking from the ocean back to their houses on the bay
I
side,
know.
and they're trying to cross Bay Avenue and they have no guidance. So this to me is something that we should get on real quickly. Seems very simple to me. And I want to thank everybody for bringing this to my attention. And I don't think council, I know that we have made a plan, but if anybody sees anything here that we're missing, let me know.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I've talked to the county too, and they're very slow. And they have to do a traffic study before they can do anything, and that has to be well in a year in advance. So you've done a great job. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
okay. So we are going to be going into executive session. I anticipate being in the executive session about 45 minutes. No formal action will be taken, and no formal action will be taken when we reconvene the public session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say,
Okay, it is 7:23. We're reconvening the public portion of the meeting. It is final remarks by council.
I just want to address the Pearl Street project.
Meaning,
The waterfront development permit that Frank Little's office is working on. So here is the drawing. That was the survey that was done. He had to take depths of the bottom, how deep the water was at different tide levels. The pilings, he's got 4 pilings for each slip. Now, this doesn't mean we have to put all these pilings in, but the waterfront development permit will give us the ability to put them all in if we so choose. We could put in 6 half of them, 2, 3, or 4 or 5. The floating dock and the ramp were never applied for, but DEP, Jamie, as you followed up in an email, DEP is exempting it for whatever bizarre reason.
Because it's not a submerged seagrass habitat.
But the fact of the matter is that that floating dock is on a borough, is within a borough riparian grant. And my idea is to, Frank wants, he has included that floating dock and the ramp in the waterfront development permit application. And my idea is that if in fact this is going to be a Bayman's Marina, and we've got an active oyster boat there right now, and we have active clammers in there right now, pick up a basket full of oysters. It weighs 80, 90, 100 pounds. And so right now, how do these guys get their clams and oysters onto the dock? So I think that we should keep the floating dock, keep the ramp attached to the bulkhead, and use that as a loading and unloading zone, not as a mooring. Don't allow anybody to moor there, but just to embark and debark and debark from their boats. So that's the plan. He's submitted the application. Hopefully we get the approval, and then we can come back and design a script on who gets the slips and how they get them. That's all I got on that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the floating dock was put there by a resident who did get permission from the DEP. The other problem is there's 10 feet of area that belongs to the borough easement along that dock. I think you'd still have to carry, if you unloaded your baskets of clams on that floating dock, you still have to carry them down to where your truck would be on the road.
It's getting from the water up. That's pretty high bulkhead there.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. So,
I'm sure
I
they
would be in
wouldn't-
favor of putting a nice walkway from the end of West Avenue or all the way down to Pearl Street. Maybe put a nice,
I would too.
a dock type of planking in there so people can walk all the way down there. Maybe put a couple of benches in there.
I don't know if you have room.
Yeah, I know it's been
I think
a
there
real
is.
asset to the
More than you
houses
think.
that live
There's
on
10
there.
feet.
But anyhow, that's
You
I
have
guess.
room for a walkway.
Maybe we
or
don't need benches but
benches.
because of the homeowners, but also, but I think the walkway would be great.
Yeah.
And it's important for people in town to be able to walk along
And
the
I think you
water.
could put benches there and have people sit
You
there.
might
and
be able to
just-
put some benches down towards the west end.
Yeah,
I think
I think the walkway would help the,
the walkway is a good idea.
The boats as
Remember, we
well.
did offer for these people to buy that easement. We did offer that a number of years ago.
I'm
Nobody
glad we
wanted
did.
it because then they had to maintain the bulkhead
Yeah,
and their taxes would double. So, they have to put up with the people.
but if they could get their clams and their oysters up onto the land, and then they could have a hand cart or a little buggy of some
Yeah.
sort, and
But they haven't needed that yet.
they haven't needed it, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be helpful.
No, but I'm saying, like, I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't.
But
fix
it- but
They've
it's-
been all floating here forever. I
It's
don't see
there,
it.
Colleen, is what I'm saying.
Well,
What
it's
are we
there.
gonna do with it?
Well, as Nancy pointed out, it was put there by a private boat owner. I don't want to kick them out. They have been gracious and said, probably because they didn't have a lot of choice, that it was okay for everybody to use it. So I don't know. I think we're overcomplicating this, truthfully.
What do you want to do with the floating dock?
Just leave it.
Leave it.
Yeah, I don't want to move it.
No, but I'm saying, I don't think we need to designate it for the clammers or the oyster.
I
or
think if
anybody
they
else.
wanted to unload their
Yeah,
stuff
would've
there,
been
they
doing it for
can.
years.
I don't
Right.
have any
You-
objection with
You
the
think
dock.
people should be allowed to moor to that floating dock?
Yeah, I mean, I think the person who had that installed got permission.
From
And I
who?
assume from the state, right? The DEP.
No.
Well, the
No, they
DEP.
did. They did.
They
They
did.
have a written agreement from the DEP.
So-
How is that possible? That's on a riparian grant that's owned by the borough.
Well, they
The
got it.
borough would
Sherry,
have
have
to
you
approve
seen
it.
that?
No,
Okay, we need to see that.
Yeah,
no,
they
I
did.
never
Well, they
saw
got
anything
it.
like
I
that.
know
We
that.
just
No.
saw a
We need to
recent
see that. Like, why hasn't
communication from
anyone asked for
DEP
that?
enforcement saying that they don't have any issues with it now.
The borough did not give anyone the authority to put that on.
The borough didn't, the DEP did.
Well, DEP
I-
has no authority.
All
to
I
tell you
know
what
is
to do with
when,
your ground.
well, I have no idea what the rules are.
I absolutely think we're gonna get, I do not believe that, leave the floating dock, but no boats should be tied to that floating dock. It should be used to get on and off from the mainland, from the upland down to the water.
How many boats are tied up to that now, other than that big boat?
There's a one boat that's tied up there. We asked them to take the whips off. They did, or I think they did. Other people will tie up temporarily to the dock. Nobody keeps their boats.
I think
moving.
anybody should be allowed to tie up temporarily.
Yeah.
I think they don't have a problem with that. That's what I'm saying. We're kind of reinventing the wheel here. I don't think we need to overthink this.
I don't think it should be a permanent mooring for any one boat. There's no authority from the Borough of Beach
I don't like
Haven to
that big
allow.
boat there. It doesn't belong there. To me, that bothers me.
What I've heard since I've been sitting here is that the people that put it there said that anybody can use it,
That's what they did.
and which I think is wonderful. But nobody can use it if there's a boat moored to it.
You want it to be
Got another side
transient.
to it.
It should absolutely be transient. 100%. Otherwise, it's somebody's private dock.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I
Partially,
think,
yes.
That's my only rub with it.
that's
Colleen.
it. I think it seems to me that it's become their private dock because it's the
And,
only
and,
boat. that's
and the person that's moored to that dock right now is not the person that put it in there.
No, it isn't.
Right.
It's just a squatter,
No, I think it's Tom Cox. I think.
but he's a squatter.
Well, yeah, he owns one of the houses.
You know, he
Yeah.
just decided nobody's using it, so
Yeah.
let me go tie my
Exactly.
boat up to it.
Right.
That's completely out of bounds, that dock. I'm happy to keep it there and I'm happy to keep, Debbie wants us to remove the ramp that's attached to the
know.
bulkhead. I wouldn't remove that. I'd leave the
The
whole thing.
ramps for safety
makes it
purposes.
You have to make it safe. Yeah.
Just take them up on the offer that anybody can use it and it becomes a transient
No
on
whips.
and
No,
off.
yeah.
I don't think any,
I like the walkway. It's just a wooden little.
Colleen,
boardwalk.
you would not be able to get on a boat by climbing down that bulkhead. If you wanted to
At
get
low
on a
tide-
boat,
Well, at high
They do
tide.
it every day, Mike.
you,
Oh, me personally, yeah, but I'm not going to try. So that
Well,
to me is a non-issue.
but let's just say let's just say that you had a grandson, your son, and mom, I want to show you how the clamming works here in the bay. Walk down the ramp, pull the boat up to the floater, step onto the boat, head
And
off
you-
into the sunset.
And you have that ability if you so choose, because there's a boat on one side, you got the whole other side open. So if you wanted to do it, you could. I don't understand what the problem is. I
It's a
just don't. get it.
private boat on a dock that belongs to the ground underneath it belongs
I
to the
think this
borough
whole
and there's
thing is
no
gonna blow up.
authority to be there.
Well, I don't think they would care one way or the other if they,
It's not their boat.
chose.
The people have put that there, do not have a boat there. So anyhow.
I mean,
that's
this
what's
can
going
of
on with
worms
Pearl
got
Street.
opened
So
up.
we're moving forward on Pearl Street.
So
A while ago. So
Nancy, we're at final remarks. That was Michael.
Yep, okay. Do we have a final remark from Jamie?
No, I hope everyone enjoys the dog days of summer. Just be courteous and cooperative on the beach. We're a little bit short-staffed everywhere, so that's it.
Final comment from Colleen?
I was just going to thank police, fire, first aid. My neighbors have used the police and the first aid extensively due to health concerns, and they've been amazing. So I wanted to thank all our emergency personnel, and that was it.
Thank you.
just, enjoy the rest of summer as it wanes and be careful out there and be kind to each other. And congratulations to Mike Batista as a grandfather. for the
Thank you.
first time.
And I want to also thank our fire people have been wonderful in helping with the complaints about the fire siren and of course our police department. And I want to thank Mike Batista for all the work he did with the sewer authority. I think that's it's going to be a big benefit to everybody in town. Plus, it's going to help the council, we're going to have one bill. It's going to be a good thing. And it was, the timing was right, but Mike really pushed us through. and I
Thank you,
wanna
Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
That's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Meeting
All in favor?
adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.